Hey, I look just like Chin. No gray. You know what I'm talking about with that. Yeah, a couple good days of practice after a really after a performance we didn't like very much. Give Nebraska credit. Nebraska was the aggressor, and we got down, and we never really looked anywhere in the game. We got to 4 or 5, but it was still them controlling the game. Offensively, it was as frustrated as I've been. We were .7 points per possession in our DER, which was really good. The problem was we turned it over at an extremely high clip, and we didn't execute very well. And we've spent a couple of days doing that. And again, we keep trying to remedy the foul problem. It didn't matter where they caught it until we quit slapping and reaching, and putting teams on the line 30 times. Makes it very, very difficult to win, especially on the road. So we go to Chicago, Big Ten game, against a very good team in Ohio State. They're a team that everything starts at the point, and with C.J. Jackson, and then Wesson in the middle. And both those guys are having great years, and they're a team that is very, very physical, probably as physical as any team that we have seen to this point. And they've got a great road win at Creighton, which impressed the heck out of me. Held Creighton to 60 points, and so we're going to have to be on our best offensively, and we've got to execute. We've got to cut hard. We've been talking at nauseum with our guys about toughness. We're not tough enough. We're not tough enough, and it's a toughness to be disciplined enough to execute. And we didn't do that in Nebraska, and we keep talking about that. We've got to understand how to be tough, to be disciplined enough when we have to get a basket that we can execute. And we've had a good couple of days, so we'll see how that goes tomorrow.
How much did Nebraska? How much did they take you out of the offense? And how much was it a lack of execution?
I don't care if anybody tries to take us out of offense, they shouldn't. I don't care if they know what's coming. I'll give them my play card. If you can execute, you should be able to execute. And we didn't, and we had just simple breakdowns. And the first play of the game was Georgie scored a basket, but it was off by an accident. And we got to clean those things up. And it's got to be carryover. We can do it fine in practice, and then we have game slippage. And as fatigue sets in, it becomes even greater, and that's the toughness we're talking about with all of our guys. And we had a sequence where Kipper hit a three, and we come back, and we've got a great matchup. They've got their 6'11" freshman on him, and we're going to pop Kipper for another three, and we forget it. We forget to play. Go to play, we don't run it, we don't execute it, and those are the matchups that you look for in a game, and it's something we got to grow into, and we've spent a good deal of time talking about that and trying to clean it up. We don't have a lot in, contrary to what some teams do. We don't have a lot in, and yet we've got to be better at what we're doing.
Brad, with the fouls, is there something you can do schematically or maybe from a fundamental standpoint to help alleviate, or is it just a growing thing with some of these young guys?
Well, every team I've ever been around, young teams foul, and they're still looking at positioning and schematics and so on and so forth. It doesn't matter. They catch the ball at the 3-point line or they catch the ball at half court. And I'm going to use Georgie as a great example. He committed 2 fouls on offensive rebounds. The other team had the ball and he just reaches in and smacks it. And those are intelligence plays. And those are things that we've got to not become frustrated because we don't score the ball and just run back and do our job. And those are things that we've got to grow from. And you can't commit those fouls; they add up. And Georgie's a vital piece to everything we do, especially on the offensive end. And he committed 3 or 4 fouls. There's an average of 8 missed layups in every high major basketball game. And we want teams to be able to drive the ball and make them finish. And we think it's okay to try to get a steal and try to slap. And we don't teach that. We do quite the contrary. And again, that's discipline. It's discipline, and we're not there yet.
Piggyback off of that, the free throw differential is not in your guys' favor. What kind of focus for you guys to get to the free throw line?
Well, again, it takes execution. It takes toughness. We've talked to Trent at nauseam, and he's one of those guys. And Georgie, and we're throwing the ball in the paint. Georgie's shooting an extremely high clip. He's a big focus, and yet we got to get him to the line more. And Kipper's a very good free throw shooter. We want him at the line more. We've sometimes have settled. I don't think that was the biggest problem in the Nebraska game. The turnovers were the problem in the Nebraska game, and yeah, we've got to clean that up. And we're out field goaling people. We're shooting it great from the three, and then you got to find that balance of getting to the foul.
At the start of the year, you talked about the value of getting Trent going early, set the tone. Has that been more of an emphasis late?
It's been an emphasis the last 2 days. Yeah, we've got to have Trent play well, and he's had a lot of first halves this year that have been awfully quiet. And again, I think it's finding a balance with him in transition. I think it's finding a balance in the half court with with Georgie, with the small lineup sometimes, figuring that out, who's on the ball, who's off the ball, creating opportunities. But we know Trent's capable, and his decision making is something that we trust and believe in, and we've got to have the ball in his hands, no doubt.
Do you need him to get more shots off?
Yeah, no question. I think that it's not as much how many as it is the quality of them, and the emphasis that it happens when he has the ball. Everybody's loading up to him, and we have a saying: good players make themselves better, great players make their teammates better. Trent's a great player. He's got to be able to spread that around, and he's played too much to the ball screen in our transition stuff instead of just pushing the envelope. He had 4 or 5 opportunities in Nebraska to go put that thing on the rim when people backpedaling, and he stopped. And we've talked to him and showed him a lot of film, as we did Dre, about playing passive in transition, and we've got to be more assertive.
You get back from Maui and one game here, and then South Bend, Lincoln, Chicago. Is maybe not having that routine at home, is that an impact on a team trying to figure things out? Young team?
I think that you like home games. And this place is special. There's 15,000 here tonight, 14,000. It's a packed house, and I think it's been more our opponents that we've played arguably the toughest schedule in the country, and being on the road hasn't helped. I've had enough hotel omelets to last for a while, and and then now here we go again. But it's something that most years doesn't happen. You're 6-0 or 6-1, or you've played 1 or 2 high majors, and I look at Notre Dame's schedule, and they played their first 7. They're real young. They played the first 7 at home, and there's a different routine to it. But I think the opponents have been obviously top shelf, playing the number 1 team in the country, and being on the road. But we'll grow from that. We're not going to make an excuse for that. We're going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to get better. And I say it all the time. I love this team. I love their spirit. That's a team that in the locker room is disappointed the way they played at Nebraska, and know that they can't do that. We've got to be better than that. So, Scott, it is what it is. But we're going to continue to fight and grow from that, and I'm going to make sure we do.
As much as you say you like playing here, do you like this Chicago game right now?
It's great. It's terrific. It's a home game. It's Chicago's. It'd be a great opportunity to get on that court, and we play our conference tournament there, I'm obviously very, very prejudiced towards the State Farm Center This place is spectacular. It's one of the best home courts in the country. I hope fans come out up in Chicago. I hope they come support us. It's a home away from home, and it'll be a thrill for our guys. It'll be a thrill for our Chicago guys to play there, and it gives us a chance to see that court when it's a court that they usually just see on TV, and now we'll get to see it postseason this year.
But you guys rank maybe a little lower, and when this guy picks up his second foul in the first half, he goes right to the bench for the most of the rest of the half. Is that a way where you just got to let guys prove to you they can play smart and not pick up that third one, or how do you kind of?
That's trust, and there's it's been a long time since I've trusted a guy since probably Thomas Walkup to play with two. You get a third one and you're really hamstrung for the second half, and we've got to figure out. Georgie got a two the other night. We actually played pretty well and did some positive things. And where we missed Georgie is as much on the defensive end as the offensive end. Adonis has been better. We've seen another Adonis this week, and I'm excited about. He's a guy that can match with Wesson, and they can slam bodies together. And it was a tough matchup in Lincoln. They play a little smaller and a little more finesse, but AD's been a lot better.
You seen from Io on his attempts inside the yard, what does he need to do to finish in the higher rank?
Well, physicality of the game, and I think that's something. We pulled his numbers the other day, and I think he's 45%. A really good NBA guy is going to be in the mid-60s, and that's just a physicality. And Io's playing tremendous. I mean, his numbers are really good. But here's a guy who is known for being a great layup maker. Well, now there's, you're not just getting by your guy, but you're getting by a secondary defender. A lot of times a third defender coming over, and they're big. And you don't see those rotations in high school. You don't see those. And that's something he's adjusting to. There's a physicality to that, getting bumped. And getting, we talked to him a little bit, he's almost long jumping. He's starting so far out, but that'll come. Those are things that he takes a lot of pride in. He's got a great floater. He's got a great mid-range game, and Io's he'll figure that out because he's a young man that really got a lot of pride.
How has Ohio State changed without Cato, but also still pretty effective?
Well, they got a senior point guard, and it's Jallo and the other Wesson. Those guys last year were just bits and piece players, to be very honest, in what they did, and they've all become very, very solid players. And then Big Wesson inside is a problem. He's one of the better bigs in the league. So they got a very good point, a very good center, and then they fill in with nice pieces. And the Washington kid as a freshman is a extremely good shooter. So they've got a lot of pieces that. And I talk about Kyle Young. Kyle Young is he's a superstar in his role, and it's offensive rebound and junkyard dog and type plays and really won in the Creighton game with effort. So all those guys are playing in their roles, and even though they're a little bit different than they were when they had Kata and when they had Tate, they've adjusted nicely.
We sense any discouragement in the locker room after this start? Do you have to coach against that?
No, I've seen maybe frustration. This is a proud locker room, and these guys want to win. It's a fine line. I told him the other day. I said we could have played a schedule that probably had a 6-1 or 6-2 and 7-1, whatever, and you have a false sense of reality. Yet we've got to continue to grow. We didn't play that schedule, so we've got to continue to grow. We've got to figure it out, and figuring it out is what we're going to do. It's their mindset. They're frustrated with things they should be. I want them to be that, but discouraged, no. This is a group that, like I said, I love everything they're about and everything they stand for because they show up every day and work hard. And we were back in here at 7:00 yesterday morning, and everybody was like, let's see the film. Let's see what we messed up and what we didn't do well, and we know we can't do this again.
Pretty impressive run came to an end at K-State. What do you think of Coach Snyder?
Yeah, you know what? Program that was absolutely the worst in the history of the sport, and I was in school there as part of that, and to see what one man and how one man literally impacted not a program, not a university. They were talking about at one time when I was there dropping football. Wichita State did at that time, dropping football, becoming a part of the Missouri Valley, and yet one man literally uh, probably saved a university, became one of the most powerful men in the state. I was privileged to be around him for uh, the time I was there and spend a lot of time with him. He's one of the great leaders. He's one of the great marketing guys. I'm happy for him. You know, he's 80 years old and still got to do what he loves to do and the passion with which he does it. And you know, I'm proud to say he's a K-Stater, and so am I from that standpoint. But yeah, he's a legend. There's no question, and a Hall of Famer.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Should we take the over or the under